18th, 2019 to order. Sorry we're a little late getting going, but it is what it is. Is there anybody, oh hang on now, new business? Start with Councillor Glenn.
Just a quick thanks.
Councillor Pollard.
Congratulations.
Councillor Thorngas.
Congratulations.
Councillor Roach.
Christmas party for the special needs.
Okay. Councillor Martin.
Thanks and congratulations.
And I have a thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor absent. Is there anybody here who would like to get on our first Q&A? No? Did you not hear me? Sorry.
They didn't hear me, so I didn't have that on. I did have it on, but I didn't have
Oh,
where I
okay.
could talk through it. So is it all right if I repeat what I said?
Paula? Not yet.
Okay.
Sorry. Anybody else? No? Okay. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
Second.
Mover, seconder, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have a set of minutes for November 4th, 2019. Any errors or omissions? Or a motion to adopt, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have a set of minutes here for a public council meeting, special public council meeting, November 6th, 2019. Motion to adopt those, please.
So moved.
Second.
Seconder, any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. No proclamations, no presentations. Question and answer. Ms. Lancaster.
Before the evening's over, it would be nice to have some information on the sign that's going on the Commons, the $100,000 sign. I did send a letter to everybody asking that to be reconsidered. I just can't imagine what that would look like or what it's about. And Justin, you had mentioned that it would be brought up at a meeting, so I'd like to know if that happened and what that discussion was like and what conclusions were drawn. So full circle back to just some information about that sign. It seems very costly.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that's with Public Works now, right? Or down where is that to? Okay, all right. So admin and finance, when an update comes forward, we'll let you know. Okay. Mayor's report. Had a busy couple of weeks with all the Remembrance Day ceremonies and stuff on the go. So on November 5th, I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony at Juniper Ridge, and I had to really give them a lot of credit for how they go about that. They ask each student in the school to bring in pictures of relatives they've had that served in the military or participated in the war, and they put them up on the screen. And I guess the most significant part is at the end, after they go through that roll call, they ask any student in the school that was affected by war or whatever to stand up, and the number of kids that stand up, I mean, still at that age in middle school that were affected by that. And I think the schools are doing a really good job on teaching about Remembrance Day and the importance of it. So I was really happy to attend that one. And then on the 6th, we had our special council meeting, and then we had our budget consultation afterwards, and we also live streamed that. I think that went pretty good. November 7th, as with Juniper Ridge, I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony at the high school. Two, actually, there, one for the junior high and one for the high school. That was similar to Juniper Ridge. They do an awesome job over there, making sure that the students understand and respect what we're doing on that day. That night I attended the 200th anniversary dinner theater with St. Nicholas Anglican Church, and that was that was a great time. It was nice to get out and speak to all those people in the church, and they did make a comment, and I was kind of, I don't know, I was proud about it or whatever, but they said they've had 3 events this year so far, excuse me, and I've attended all 3, so I thought that was that's pretty good. It's nice that the town, and through me, are showing our support to St. Nicholas Church for all they've done for the town in 200 years. November 11th, we had our own Remembrance Day ceremony. Had a lot of good feedback on it. The weather was nice. It was a little cool and wasn't too windy, and there was we had a huge number of people in attendance. I know that all around the Northeast Avalon, the mayors I spoke to, they had huge crowds everywhere, Flat Rock, Pooch Cove. So it's nice to see people getting out and showing the respect that we should for our veterans. That night, I attended the True Patriot Love Gala Dinner Theater and Auction, and this is the 3rd year that I've gone to that, and the amount of work that Sheila Miller puts into that to try and raise funds for veterans who are inflicted with various illnesses and injuries. It's certainly nice to see, and there was a lot of people in attendance at that, and it's great that the town is able to also support that, because they put a lot of work into it. I know her and Bill Tapper, they do a lot of work with that. So I thank them and congratulate them on another successful year. November 14th to 16th, myself and some members of council, we attended our annual M&L AGM this weekend in St. John's. It's kind of nice when it's in St. John's. It's not as expensive, I guess, to send people, and there's so much good information that you can get there. It's certainly a bonus to be able to attend and to be able to come home at the end of the day when you get a lot of other things on the go. So that was good. There was a lot of good sessions. We had an opportunity to meet with the minister and find out where his head is at, what's going on, what is on his agenda for the upcoming year, certainly, and he spoke a lot about the issues that the Premier gave him in his mandate letter, things that he needs to do, and wastewater was at the top of the list, as well as clean drinking water. So hopefully we'll be able to get get some of those issues that we're facing as a town looked after through those programs. And to that point, on November 17th, yesterday morning, I attended my first M&L board meeting as the new Urban Municipalities Committee chair and member of the M&L board. I got elected on Saturday, so it was a proud moment for me, and I would like to say, while I'm at it, thank you to Rob Ansey, that was the chair of the UMC committee, that both of us were running for that position. I was fortunate enough that I won it, and I will be taking over that spot on the M&L board. So that's two. We have 2 members now from the town of Torbay on the M&L board at the same time, myself and Deputy Mayor. I don't know if we've ever had anybody, even a single person on that board, so I think it goes to show that at least, and from what I've been told and from what I hear around, that our town is respected throughout the province through M&L, and that it's nice that they would put enough confidence in us to have 2 people from the same town sit on the board. So that's unusual in itself. I don't know if this has ever happened before either. So I will say that it's going to be quite an honor, and I'm looking forward to that for the next 2 years. And with that, that's it for my report. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? Perfect. Seeing none, moving on. Business Arising report. Does anybody have any items on there that they would like to comment on? Nice. Moving right along. Correspondence. There's a correspondence there from the Eastern Regional Service Board with regards to fees. In, I guess, 2020, there's going to be an increase in our fees for dumping at the landfill. So regular materials are going to cost $75 a ton. I think currently we're paying $67.50. And recyclable materials are going to cost $22 a ton, and I think right now we're paying about $20. So that's there for information purposes. We'll forward that on to, I guess, Finance or Public Works or wherever that's going to fall under.
Could I add to that, Mr. Chair, because I'm on that committee?
Yep, go ahead.
On that board. And also...
Speak in your microphone,
Sorry.
Councillor Rowe,
Yes.
please.
Yes, I know we're supposed to stand and sing. Okay, can you hear me? Yes, all right. So added to that is just take in consideration that there has not been any increases since 2013, and costs have risen up, and we have staff to pay, trucks and that to buy and all that stuff. And so we know here in the town how much it costs for a too. So I just want to make sure that it's not getting across to people that every year we're doing this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad you raised that, because I think that the Eastern Regional Service Board, operating the Robin Hood Bay facility and the Eastern Regional Waste Management, I think that they've done a really good job. And I was speaking to the chair on the weekend, Mayor Maloney from Bay Bulls, who's currently the chair, and that we were having a discussion about a motion that was coming forward about equality in fees across the province or whatever. And he said, we're almost a victim of our own success, that we're doing so good. But I think that a lot of that goes towards the fact that our municipalities around here on the Northeast Avalon have also done our job in introducing recycling programs and trying to get people to reduce a little bit. So every little bit we do helps them keep the costs down, and so we're all in together. But thank you. Moving on. Where would you? Yep.
So just a question on that.
Go ahead.
So I know there's, I saw this on the news. I guess, there's been some comments regarding the price increase. Some people have some questions. But again, we don't have any say in this, right? They could charge us whatever they want.
Well, we do have a say. We have a member on the board, Councillor Roach, but the board makes the decision. It's kind of an arm. It's an independent board, but it is made up of elected officials.
Right.
So it's not somebody imposing something on us. We're involved in that. So
Right. So I'm just saying, I disagree with that increase. We have fairly limited options as to saying we think that's too much.
That's right. Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. So I should probably stand, I guess.
Well, you can finish. I just wanted to add to that, because or clarify that be it known that we don't own, Eastern Regional Service Board does not own Robin Hood Bay. It's owned by the City of St. John's, and they have to keep their costs at a certain point too, and therefore they found this year that they have to increase fees for whatever, because they have to also do something with Bell Island over there and some other towns around that really need to have their garbage collected and brought over to Robin Hood Bay. So that's one of the reasons. Thank you.
And I guess I just want to finish off by saying that part of the reason why we do our recycling programs is to decrease the amount of garbage we send to Robin Hood Bay. Of course, the less we send, the probably more they're going to have to charge us per ton to kind of make their limits. But just want to relate to all of us, this just makes our recycling programs more and more important. So we just need to keep on the path that we have been doing to make sure that we reduce the amount that we send them as much as possible. So every bit of garbage that we do put in collectively as a community is going to cost us money in taxes. So besides just the good environmental stewards that we're supposed to be, there is a financial cost to the garbage that we do collect. So recycle, recycle, recycle.
Yep. So it's a good thing that we reduced the number of bags down to 5, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on. Where are we to? Committees of Council. Planning, Land Use Development. We don't have. Okay, go ahead. Councillor Thorngas. Take it away. No. Councillor Martin, sorry. I got it wrong. I got it right last week.
Yeah.
Wrong this week. Continue.
Thank you. Committee met on November 12th. I attended, as well as Councillor Thorngas and Director Winter. We discussed the development proposal at 2 Rosebud Street. There was some concerns of commercial usage there. However, it is dealt with in building application number C2019-122. We will put a clause in there that there's no commercial usage. There's also some correspondence here from Rogers Communications regarding antennas in the town to enhance cell service. Director Winter was going to discuss the proposed contract with the town solicitor. We also have reviewed their proposed locations. There is a correction here. We did discuss that there wasn't any evidence we're aware of. However, in public interest and whatnot, we are going to go back to Rogers and ask for some further details on any documentation they have with regards to a public safety perspective and see where that leads us. We'll bring that back to the next meeting if Deputy Clerk could make that amendment. We also have a letter from the town of Logie Middle Cove, Outer Cove, regarding some items in a proposal that's going to be completed as a part of the town's infrastructure project. The committee agreed that if we are already in the process, then we should continue with our own project. We also discussed the committee's mandate as we did take on some new roles in the committee change-up. We reviewed that. Councillor Thorne-Goss and Director Winter are going to meet with a resident on Ocean Drive regarding Shale prior to our next committee meeting. Also, Neighbourhood Watch, that's one of the new committee roles that falls under PUD, Planning, Land Use Development. Director Winter is going to meet with CAO, set up a time to have the commissioners in to present some updates to the committee and their mandate and whatnot. We also had some updates in there from the last DAC meeting, and Director Winter is looking into some of them, including the stormwater management feedback, as well as concerns relating to a water quality meeting. And we did determine that that's more of a public works issue, and I believe we left that with public works. There's also some updates concerning Western Island Pond buffer zones. Committee Chair noted that a few items from TAC committee discussion in relation to Western Island Pond. Director noted he's been speaking to some landowners in the area regarding similar issues, and the Environment Advisory Committee is working on some new information pamphlets for management areas. Also, the next one is a little important as well, surface wells. I brought a request to committee following, and this also interjects with my fire department report. At our last fire department meeting, we had, when the fire department gave the report, there was an incident in Flat Rock where a well wasn't covered correctly and a child fell down through it and went down through the well. Luckily he was okay, but the fire department did discuss with myself and my Flat Rock counterpart, Councillor Michelle Martin, asking to bring it back to our councils, and CAO, if you could maybe talk to our communications coordinator about doing some public awareness on well maintenance. Director Winter is looking into the wells, see if we have any regulations or not. You know, it is something that's an easy oversight, but it can certainly be critical if not attended to. There is some correspondence regarding Bridge Road speeding that Director is discussing with CAO, and there's a treehouse on Pine Line. The Director gave an update on that, as well as speed bumps that on the middle line that Director Winter is going to discuss with CAO. There is a correspondence there as well regarding an email from a property owner on Pine Line who was refused a cabinet business, and Director Winter did note that he already communicated with that individual. And moving on to our reports.
It's 81.
81. Thank you. Here we are. Applications approved. This is the applications approved from November 1st, 2019 to November 14th, 2019 for Planning and Development Department. Following applications were approved, subject to normal conditions and requirements for building within the town of Torbay. Application C 2019-125, 55 Mans Lane, single-family dwelling. Application WS 2019-031, 46, 48, and 50 Convent Lane, a water and sewer extension. Next, we have our building applications report, November 15th, was regarding building applications to be considered at tonight's meeting. Applications for approval. Application C 2019-122. Location was 2 Rosebud Street, and the proposal is an 18 by 40 extension to existing accessory building. The zoning is a residential large lot. The subject property is located within the residential large lot land use zone. The applicant is requesting to construct an 18 by 40 extension to the existing accessory building. The application was discussed at the Planning and Development Committee meeting held on November 12th, item 1A. Our recommendation, committee recommends that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. The use of the accessory building is restricted to residential accessory use. That's number 1. Number 2 is there's no commercial operation that shall take place on the property without approval from the town. Any commercial operation taking place without approval from the town will result in a stop work order being placed on the property, and the homeowner is aware of that, as well as the fees associated with it. And all normal conditions and requirements for building within the town of Torbay. So moved.
Seconder, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next one is application C 2019-124. The location is 1 William Manning Drive. Construction depot with laydown area is the proposal. The zoning is commercial general. The subject property is located within the commercial general land use zone. The applicant is requesting to construct a construction depot with laydown area. Discretionary use applications are subject to conditions of the commercial general land use zone and regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations. The application was advertised as per discretionary use regulations. No written correspondence was received in relation to the proposal. Committee's recommendation is that committee recommends that the application be approved subject to the following conditions. All normal conditions and requirements for building within the town of Torbay is number 1. Number 2 is the property and business will be subject to property and business taxes in accordance with the published schedule of taxes and fees for the town of Torbay. So moved.
Over to seconder. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So ends my report.
Carried. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. I just want to add here and verify that application for approval, WS 2019-031, for water and sewer extension, they were all applications. So there's nothing new because
No,
with
yeah.
the situation that's on with the whole freeze on our water. Just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I've got here that we mentioned was the Killicoats Municipal Natural Asset Inventory that we got that letter.
Yeah, I had a question about that.
Okay, my only thing with concern with this is that I don't know if everybody realizes what this is, and I'm wondering if we needed a motion to go back and say that we were not going to be involved in it.
Well, I had a question. I had a question about it, right? And my question is that this was an opportunity. This thing is an opportunity for us to participate in a regional cooperation thing. And when they're talking about natural assets, they're not just talking about identifying the things that you have. It's something to do with adding a value to those assets as well, not just pointing out what you got there. Basically, what I was going to ask was if the director could go back to the people that sent us the letter in Otter Cove and just get some clarification on it before we reject it.
Okay, I just wanted to, we had discussion on this, and I don't know if the director can add to it, but some of this work that's in here, portion of it, we already are in the process of undertaking it right now.
Yeah.
So it would be a duplication, and if the director wanted to add anything to that, but we've already got contracts on it.
And it could be similar to when we did our entire town on the our water, the flow model, yeah, ground flow. We gave that portion of that report to Look Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove, so they could expand on it. And, like, you know, there's, if we want to work together as a region, sometimes we have to give it a little, get it a little. So just go back and figure out what exactly is it that they're asking us before we say no. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. So even if we had a lot of it done, maybe it might even reduce the cost overall to doing it, right? So just want to get a clarification on what it is exactly that they're asking us for, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and if there's anything we can do to contribute on a regional basis, make sure that, you know, we provide whatever we can and should to them to help everyone along, right?
This was something that came up through our mayor's meeting that we had brought forward. So we'll see. We got another meeting coming up, hopefully soon. So we'll see where everybody else is with it, because it was sent to everyone.
The opportunity if the director already had some information to add to it already.
Yeah.
No, I think both was in the package there. It's the, so as part of our infrastructure location project, we are looking at natural assets as well.
Yeah.
So I had our consultant review it, and they said most of those things are already in here.
Okay, so maybe what we'll do, we'll go back to LMO and tell them that we're in the process of doing this. How does that impact what you want us to do?
Yes, sure.
All right, okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Martin. Number 2, Admin and Finance, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll eventually get used to this, I think, or at least some of us will. We met on the 12th of November at 7:10, myself and Deputy Mayor Appleby and CAO Don. We spoke about the council training session that is now in process and is going to be like as a series of individual interviews and then a group gathering at the end of it all to continue that training. The live streaming of council meetings, I think, is pretty interesting. That the stats on it were from the public council meeting on the 4th of November, we had 142 views, and the budget 2020 public consultation saw 106. Yeah. And the so that means at least somewhere between 106 and 142 people staring down at us now. So, you know, don't get nervous. Hopefully there'll be more, but that's great. I think that, you know, given that it's at the initial stages, it certainly shows that there is great interest, and a lot more people are interested in sitting home reviewing it than having to show up at the meeting, although we certainly appreciate everybody who shows up here on a regular basis to give us a pat on the back. Sorry. I didn't mean that in a negative way, I just have a chat. Finance, we reviewed the income and expense report as we usually do. At that point in time, we did ask for an update on the community center construction, just to get all the individual details. And at that point, I guess, to Ms. Lancaster's request earlier, we might not have all that information there tonight. We certainly will. It was going to be brought back at the next committee meeting for us, and we are meeting on the 25th as a group to go through the year-to-dates and the budget presentation for next year. Last time round, we had some conversation around the salt and sand tender, and there was some, I guess, I won't say misinformation so much as information that was presented in a way that we don't usually present it. It was quoted on the basis of a rate per cubic meter, and we usually do a rate per ton. And once we go back and recalculate, we find out that it was more expensive than us going out again. So we had to cancel the previous tender. So there's one motion here. The Town of Torbay cancel the multi-year tender for supply and delivery of winter road salt and sand for the 2019, 2020, and 2021 season. So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So that was just a cancellation of the old one that was presented. So we went out for a 1-year supply this time around, and we have another tender to award. The Town of Torbay.
Can we vote on the first one first?
It's all right.
Okay.
Gosh, you're some slow.
Any questions? Oh, you're gone too fast for me. Any questions on that first motion? It's pretty clear. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Continue.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Town of Torbay awards supply and delivery of winter sand for a 1-year period to the low bidder, Weirs Construction Limited, at a cost of $14.50 per ton. Total cost for the provision of 1,100 tons is $15,950 plus HST, and as usual, it's a budget item for 2019. So moved.
Second.
For seconder, questions, comments? All in favor?
Oh, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, $14.50 per ton. So what was the How does that compare to the multi-year tender we just cancelled?
It was 16 something per ton was the next quote.
The three-year recommendation that was brought forward was only based on one bid submitted, so there
Right.
was no way to gauge it. So we went back out and looked for quotes for a one-year period. So we received 3 bids.
Right, but I'm saying the end result was about 10% savings, is that?
Cost savings, yes.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay. Carried. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The upcoming budget 2020, on the 25th, as I just mentioned, we're having the department presentations, and the 9th we'll be having a draft budget presentation to the public, and hopefully we'll be in a position to adopt by the 16th. If not, we'll have to do it sometime later than that. But there's always lots of times for input and potential changes as we need it. As I had mentioned, we are compiling the capital project expenditure breakdown. I had asked this for some time ago, and then with the changeover of staff again, we're still waiting on all the projects we have and the breakdown of budget and year-to-date spend and what's left to spend and where we actually stand from a comparison of budget perspective. The Director of Corporate Services position, has been vacated now for a couple of weeks, and we did go through a hiring process. Hence, there's a motion here that the Town of Torbay offer the Director of Corporate Services position to Jacqueline Kudla. So moved.
Second.
And that position is really, and the offer is to negotiate with that person at this point in time. And hopefully that will be successful and the person come on stream fairly quickly, because we've been a while now without continuity in that position.
Questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The Youth and Seniors Coordinator position, competition has finished for that, and the position will be offered to Kirk Comden. I think Kirk was working here as part of the original group that was hired for the opening of the community centre and that. I happen to know Kirk personally, and he's a good fellow, I got to say. But I didn't have anything to do with it, so more kudos to him. The internal staff here has a wellness committee, and they met on the 7th of November. It's comprised of the representatives of all departments, and they're presently developing a work plan and hope to meet on a monthly basis. On the asset management side of things, we always try to push that, and we certainly need to now in terms of the gas tax agreement and how we want to do some longer term planning from an infrastructure perspective and even natural assets if it comes down to it. So Director of Planning and Development, Director of Recreation and Community Services recently completed the 4th course as a part of FCM's Asset Management Certification Program. 2 courses remain, and they expect that the folks will be finished by the 20th of April, or 30th of April 2020, sorry. From the finance report side of things, payroll for the period October 31st to November 13th, 2019 for 44 employees totaled $79,362.13. Accounts payable for the same period totaled $244,742.24. There are 11 operating invoices here for approval, and no capital ones this time. Look at that. So we need 11 of those. CIBC mailing for pension contributions for October 2019 in the amount of $23,665.92. Commissionaires for enforcement October 6th to the 19th in the amount of $5,152. Diligent Canada Inc. for the Meeting Manager Pro and Video Manager, which is essentially the civic portal and live streaming that you see here on an annual basis, $15,173.45. Harborside Transportation Consultants for still the phase 1 of the sidewalk design from Mans right up to the school, amount of $5,659.73. Hearn Distributors for product for the grand opening in the amount of $6,709.71. Obviously, there was some recoup on that. We'll have all that rolled up soon. We hope that we can have a report on the grand opening. Narrow Marketing Limited Partnership for diesel for the depot tanks in the amount of $6,012.78. Newfoundland Power for street lighting October 2019 and the gateway signage in the amount of $23,617.36. Pilot Communications for the monthly billing capital campaign in the amount of $14,375. Receiver General for Canada, which is obviously the mandatory remittance associated with payroll, for the amount of $45,695.90. And the Receiver General for Canada for payroll deduction for third quarter council remuneration in the amount of $12,100.36. And T2 Ventures Garbage and Recycling Collection in the amount of $42,771.95, all totaling $200,934.16. So moved.
Second.
Or seconder questions? Go ahead.
Diligent Canada, meeting manager, pro and video manager, says for live streaming council subscription. So was that for 2019 so far?
Well, there would be a year from the point of start. There would be a yearly from the point of start.
I'm just wondering if it was.
Calendar year is based on when the subscription came through. Of that 15,005 is related to the live streaming, 10,000 is related to the basic.
Okay, I was just wondering if it was for the year, or is that prorated out just for 2019?
No, it's crossover.
That would be for a year.
It would be for a year, but not
Not-
the calendar year.
The amount will be paid for the calendar year. Whether or not it gets prorated would be reflected in the financial statements. It goes from October 30th to October 1st, 2020.
Yeah, well,
Is what the payment is for.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then it would only be for this October, since we started it here. So the full amount wouldn't be reflected, it would be portion of that would have to be paid for the following year. We don't pay it in advance. Isn't that right?
You'd pay the prescription for the full year.
Yeah.
The subscription for the full year, sure. No.
Okay.
Yep.
Because along with that is the civic portal, where that includes the agenda notes, right? That we'll review our council packages and stuff. So that's everything that's up on the web, not just the video.
I know,
It's the
but
entire
that,
thing.
I guess for the public, it'd be good to have that probably explained and what the different
Right. So we just explained
items
it.
in that are, yeah. No, but
Perfect, yes.
for anybody else.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the income and expense report is attached for anybody who might want to take a review and have a few questions. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, I just got a comment on the live streaming. I know that of that 104 or 140 or whatever it is that's looking at it, they've been watching it from Pooch Cove to Labrador City. There's people across the island that's been checking it out, seeing what we're doing, and got a lot of good feedback from other members of other councils about how we do our Q&As at the beginning and at the end, and how much information we're putting out for the public. So people are paying attention, so it's good. Thank you. Moving on, Economic Development and Tourism, Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Our Economic Development and Tourism Committee took place on November 7th. Deputy Mayor Trina Appleby is chair, myself as a committee member, and Deanne Lawrence, our Economic Development and Tourism Officer, were in attendance. It was our first meeting with the new committee structure in place, and it commenced at 6:39 p.m. Our meeting schedule, we did adopt a regular meeting schedule now. We will meet on the Thursday of the week that council meetings are scheduled, so every second Thursday after the public council meeting week. Meetings will be held at our new community centre from 6:30 to 7:30 unless there's a conflict and we need to reschedule. We had several new business items we discussed. First one was being the Torbay Business Network. We wanted to have our director, or our officer, connect with the Torbay Business Network about attending a meeting and do some introductions and see how we can help each other. We also discussed a matter with a current Torbay business with some potential opportunities and considerations we could do for them. as well as some properties that have requested us to review some inquiries for consideration regarding use of private property. We also discussed some memberships and networking potentials to gain knowledge and investigate how our town fits in ongoing future plans for various business sectors. The Deputy Mayor had a really good suggestion, which was social enterprise opportunities at our new community centre, which we discussed briefly, the opportunities for business rentals and space at the community centre, considering what a pilot model would look like if we were to have, business space available for, little startups and whatnot, and making connections. We also discussed the importance of connecting with other towns, municipalities and organizations regarding their learning and success. We've also requested our officer provide a synopsis of discussions after making connections. The town of Lewisport and the CBDC, which is the Canadian Business and Development Corporation, CABIT, were identified. There's some additional items we talked about, as well as some standing items. Our additional items were administration will share with the Torbay History House and Museum planning report to committee members as requested for consideration and what the vision for the space could include and how it could be marketed for and all that, so on and so forth. And also share with the Economic Development Strat Plan the committee members as requested for consideration on what they may require updating. Some items that are standing are not limited to this list. It isn't inclusive. It's just a brief synopsis of some items. The Memorial University Transportation Committee, Regional Wayfinding Initiative, Business Registration Directory and Shop Local campaigns, RANLAB Economic Demographics Project, Northeast Avalon Tourism Visitor Appeal Appraisal Initiative, Pico Ridge Mining Project, Regional Receptor in the Investment Working Group, memberships for Destination St. John's and some other profiles, Community Profile, History House and Museum, RFPs, Community Market, Beach Project, and strat plans for economic development and tourism, so on and so forth. And our meeting, it was a good first meeting, and it adjourned at 7:30 p.m. And that ends my report.
All right.
For economic
Thank
development
you.
and tourism. Thanks.
Any questions on that? All right.
Question here with regards, I'm surprised to see the History House and Museum RFP, because I thought that was part of Public Works.
Once it's awarded, right, Don? Or- Yeah. Once it's-
So
once
what
they're-
is the status then on that? Because we've got a,
Closes this Thursday. There was two amendments that had to be issued, and as a result, we had to extend. We had to extend the deadline, so that'll close. There's an evaluation committee comprised of the Heritage Foundation, the Director of Planning Development, myself, and the Economic and Development Tourism Officer, and a recommendation will come back through Admin and Finance Committee for award, hopefully for Tuesday's meeting.
do we
And
hire a project manager
No,
after?
that's what the RFP is for, and then that firm will work with the Public Works Committee to oversee the renovation, restoration, and interpretation.
I got an odd one here because I'll forget it again. And that was the opening of the monument and that down on the beach. That's in there. Have
Yes,
we
I'll
got
follow up.
anything?
Now that we're outside the federal, I'll follow up
Yeah,
with the COA
because
and the
that's
province to
something
arrange that.
A few people have mentioned to me about that, so I think we need to. All right,
I'm
thank you.
always happy to go cut another ribbon on something.
Yeah,
The only, I wanted to make a comment actually on your report, about the street lighting, when we talk about how much street lighting costs. Because on Wednesday night, as part of the M&L convention, I did attend, and Councillor Martin was there, a presentation from Newfoundland Power on a strategy that they're rolling out across the province on trying to reduce outages and improving infrastructure. And I'm pretty sure they said on a go-forward basis they're going to be installing LED lights, and hopefully at some point down the road we'll start to see some kind of savings on that as the old lights get taken out and the new LED ones get put in, because there's certainly a cost savings towards LED as opposed to those big
Incandescent.
spec bulbs they got there now. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. All right, who just did that report? You did. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Recreation. There's no report for infrastructure and public works, right?
No.
Okay, thank you. Recreation, community services, Councillor Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Community Services and, Recreation and Community Services met on November 12th from 6 to 7. I was there as chair, as was Councillor Roach and the director, Tina Aklanak-Ryan. The items we discussed were, first of all, we reviewed the committee structure, so we went over our, basically our standing orders, I guess, for the year. I've only got one question regarding that at the end. I'll comment on that. We did have a request from the Air Cadets. Basically, they brought forward a request for support, and we're going to basically set up a meeting with them to discuss if and what we can do for them. We also discussed a request regarding putting a temporary name on the Torbay Common to 8 Kinsman Place, just so the name Torbay Common didn't necessarily stick. We discussed it to some degree, but we agreed that keeping the name Torbay Common there in place is probably the best idea until a formal sponsorship of the facility is in place. And our capital campaign is still going on. Do have a motion coming up here regarding the seniors Christmas party. This can be our first time, obviously, having our seniors Christmas party at the our new Torbay Common, and this is sold out in past years, and so we basically wanted to increase the maximum participants from 150 to 300, basically double the capacity, and that's going to require a bit extra budget, but we do have some extra money we can move around, basically an extra approximately $8,000 we can move from Snow Treasures GL into this. And I think, we have to, again, like we spend all these millions of dollars on this community center, the very last thing I want to do is on our first seniors Christmas parties be basically turn someone away or not having a really good positive experience with that. So I think it's prudent that we take the necessary precautions to make sure everything goes as smooth as possible for that. It's not a whole lot of money, and like we said, we do have room in the rec budget right now. So I'd like to make a motion to cap the 2019 seniors Christmas party to 300 people. So moved.
Second.
Seconder comments?
I know when we said about the seniors' Christmas party, it was normally at 60 or 65. I was surprised to see it down to 50, and again, a few residents have mentioned to me about the age. And the other thing is that I'm assuming that it's for people, residents of Torbay, because again, after it was mentioned to me that hopefully the taxpayers' money is going towards for the residents of Torbay when the question comes out, because it is a very low cost and it's a good return. So there are two things that residents have mentioned to me, and I'd like to put it out there that, and it should be, as far as I'm concerned, and I agree with them, and it should be for the age. So I don't know how the age got reduced.
What is the age for the party?
We're going 50 plus, right? Is that correct?
It said in the flyer was 50.
Pardon?
It's usually 60, 65.
Okay, yeah. So we're leaving it at 50 this year?
It was put out as 50, so we should leave it as 50.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
in
to
fact,
your-
and the other thing was for residents of Torbay.
Right, to your other point, so I would
Yeah.
imagine that if a resident from Torbay has to purchase the ticket, if they bring a guest with them, that's from anywhere else, I mean, that's, Well, you got the
Just
details,
for
right?
clarification again.
okay, thank you.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just for clarification, it says seniors Christmas party as ages 50 plus. Again, this is put together. I don't know the exact time when this was put together, but the cost is $5 per resident, $7 for non-residents. So non-residents are welcome at the Torbay seniors Christmas party.
Okay. Are we going to open the tickets for residents first, though, like we do with everything else?
So
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, and
All
that's-
right, I just wanted to finish then. So therein, I guess, lies the issue that it was sold out for 150 participants. And again, the first 150, we assume that they were residents of Torbay, because this is a contentious issue. And the other thing, I guess, is the age. So I think of another year or what have you, we have to be careful with regards to people not from Torbay getting in, and especially that first 150, because it is the taxpayers' money of Torbay. So we need to be cognizant of that, and I'll just bring it up so that we're aware of it.
Anything else?
Just like that, just one of the things I know, and I'm going to bring up kind of the Torbay resident versus non-Torbay resident thing. And I think one of the things that we talked about with Torbay Common, this is going to be not just a Torbay thing. This is supposed to be open for everybody. I don't want, people, we're having a party. I hope no one's checking IDs to see whether you're from Pushkov or Flat Rock and saying, hey, you're not welcome because you're not from this town. Now, understanding we don't want to spend taxpayers' money necessarily to subsidize that, but I think we're having a Torbay Christmas party. I think everyone should be welcome. Now, we should, I guess, particularly since we're moving money like this in next year, make sure that we maybe make sure we don't, because I like to invite people in. Having your friends and your neighbors and your family from surrounding towns come to your party, your Christmas party, that's only going to make that party better. Now, again, we might have to look at the specific price, might not want to subsidize necessarily to the same degree for something of this type of big expense, but I think in the overall theme of things, what we're trying to do is make sure, hey, I think we should welcome everyone possible. But I think your point is well taken with regards to the cost.
Thank you.
Can I add that we did discuss both issues, and it was brought to our I'm sorry. Yes, we did, discuss both issues and realised that the error was made, and rather than haul it back and put out another one, we decided, well, it's there, so we have to abide by what we put out. And next year we will, look at it again, okay? And we did. We thought that by letting other people come to it, because if there's a function on in St. John's and there's tickets being sold, I don't think that anybody has asked, are you from St. John's, or are you from Topsail, or are you from wherever? And if they buy a ticket, then they should be allowed to go, because that would cover the cost of their food and everything else. So that's what we've looked at this year, but we'll see how this will go. Okay, thank you.
I'll just ask one question on the, I notice it says not including rental of tables and chairs. How many do we actually own ourselves, do you know? Because I know we rented at the grand opening, right? And now we're going to rent again. Or is that going to be something that we're going to be doing all the time on an ongoing basis, Yeah,
I don't think there's any way around that. If we're going to be in the throwing Christmas party business, then we're going to be either in the buy the chairs business or rent the chairs business as well. I mean, that's just going to be the cost of what we need to do. Right.
Yeah, I guess as we go forward, we can do analysis on that and see what we're better off doing, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were buying tables out when...
We do have a number,
that's fine.
right?
We
Let's
purchased
put it on
120, we decision
Okay.
of council to purchase the 120 and
Yeah.
not purchase any more, we would rent them
Yeah.
because there was no storage.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Got it?
So I guess I call the
Question? All in
call
favor?
the question.
Aye. Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hope everyone has a good party. So the other thing we talked about were programming fees and the advertisement. Basically, committee reviewed and discussed the advertising or program advertising, and agreed that future registrations that residents would have a 7-day early bird registration before any opening, like for the breakfast with Santa or trunk or treat or any number of those things that we have. And then basically after that early bird special will go up, then we'd open it up to the general public at the same cost. Because one of the things that I guess we had talked about was when we had some negative feedback specifically about, hey, are you from Flat Rock or Puch Cove versus Torbay? And hey, what are you doing on that wreath making? How come I got to pay $6 as opposed to the $3? And again, these aren't money making ventures, right? We don't want to be checking IDs of people and insulting people and kind of ruining their good time, especially the Christmas spirit and stuff like that, by charging charging your friends from a different town an extra couple of bucks. But the point of having the smaller fee for a resident versus a non-resident is basically doing be nice to our residents, right? Because we want to make sure that our residents do have access to all these things first. But that's why we think that, and it's staff thinks, that by opening up, basically have an early bird special for residents, make sure all the residents get their opportunity, so you don't want to have everything sold out, and then someone from Torbay going, oh, geez, I never got a ticket because, they're busing people in from CBS. Not that we do that, of course. But we can do that. That way we can kind of treat everyone equally and fairly, all our friends and family and all that kind of stuff for, don't want to nickel and dime people for extra $3. But at the same time, that will give people a good opportunity to make sure residents get the first opportunity. And again, opening things up to the rest of our surrounding areas, that only makes the events that we're trying to put off, just makes them all better. It just makes them more special for everyone involved, even our residents, right? And once, I think we're going to kind of go through that, and the director's going to put together a more detailed plan with that. It's one of the things we talked about, and I just want to be super transparent with council and everybody, saying that's one of the things that we're going to be putting forward in the future. We also talked about the Torbay Common multipurpose room and gym rentals. Again, the director's going to go take a look now that we've started our operations, and give it a good going over with a fine-tooth comb, and see where we can do things that make sense or not make sense, see what's working, what's not working, and take some of the feedback we received, and then go forward in 2019. Okay. And the community guide is being currently worked on. Budget 2020, our budget's being worked on, I guess, Monday is a presentation to the rest of the council for that. The rental agreement form is in the works. Director has met with legal on the 5th, and basically we're going to follow up in the next couple of weeks to get all that taken care of and ironed out a little better. Torbay Common, the parking lot. So we discussed and we did agree that until we get our costs for the parking lot, and basically, I guess the first kind of layer put there for the overflow parking lot, that we do need to put in an official motion to how we're going to handle overflow in the upcoming weeks. And so I'd like to make a motion here on behalf of the committee. I'd like to move that the town of Torbay provide shuttle buses from a location to be determined by staff to the Torbay Common for the variety of upcoming programs and events that may warrant extra parking until the parking lot at the Torbay Common is ready for public use. So moved.
Second.
Second, questions?
How much, I guess I think is important to put in there, how much that the buses are for the rental, and I guess for each one, how frequent that they would be running back and forth. But I think the big one is the cost of the shuttle buses, to have that included in there as well.
Depending on the event, you don't know how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, but there must be a set cost if it's, $50 an hour or $200 an hour, and then you can kind of get it from there. But I'm just looking at it that we should have, because the cost for the other the other one that we looked at, it's not really an accurate cost if you don't add up. So if we're having, say, the breakfast with Santa, then the cost of the shuttle bus needs to be added in for the breakfast with Santa, is all I'm saying, so that we know what it's really costing us. The same thing, I guess, which I wasn't thinking about, would be for the seniors. Now we got 300 people, and can all of the seniors get on and off the bus and what way? So they need to know that before the tickets are actually, I'm just putting it out there for the communication.
I would think, according to the Procurement Act, that for each event, we'd have to go out and get prices, would we not? Yeah. We'd have to go get a price each time.
So that's something that we need to put into the different events that we have coming up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a rule, we have
Because
to do,
it's
we have
not,
to do that.
no, I'm just making the comment that it's not for everybody, all of our seniors, to be able to get on and off a bus. So we may need to look at something small, or we're being dropped off. I think that's another issue when you're talking about seniors.
Okay. Anybody else? All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And I guess I just want to have one comment. I know we discussed the review the committee structure, and this is one of the questions that I guess we shared and talked about to some extent, but I just wanted to share it with council. I want to make sure, traditionally with recreation and community services, it used to be parks and recreation. I guess traditionally there had been the trail planning, and even building at one point in time was put under this committee, and I guess it's no longer under this committee specifically. So I'd like just to make sure that the planning and development of trails doesn't get lost in between committees. So I just want to reconfirm what committee is in charge of doing that. Because I know last year we had some controversy, I guess, regarding cuts to trails, and one of the arguments was, hey, we didn't have any shovel ready type of projects until we'd have in this year. So this is the whole year's gone past. I just want to make sure that this is not one of those things that I don't want to repeat of last year. Just kind of, I don't want to make sure that the trails kind of falls through the cracks. I want to make sure it's
See how much money we spent on trails this year?
how much money we spend on trails.
A lot. And I think that we'll be spending, we continue to make trails all the time.
Is it $250,000?
We never built, yeah, more than that, I would say. And, you know, since trails moved under Public Works, we've built more trails in this town than we've ever done.
Sure, but I just want to confirm, because we were looking through it, and I'm not trying to criticize, I'm just trying to make sure that we don't have, nothing falls through the cracks, because we're looking through it, and it's like, okay, well, who's actually in charge of the planning of the trails? I know, just so it's, so the planning and implementation, the whole works is under Public Works, is that correct?
It is for putting in new trails, but even with a subdivision coming up, planning could look at where the trails should be going based on the plan of a subdivision or where we're looking at with green spaces and stuff, so it's a mixture.
It is with development
Yeah.
and in consultation with recreation, so it's a combination of both with any that we've done so far.
So that's going to be, so the planning is going to be done by planning, and the building's going to be done by Public Works, is that correct?
I think there's probably
Combination.
3 or 4 aspects there, really. If we're talking about budget time, I would expect that any councillor can make sure that trails are on the table for discussion, because there's going to be a lot of capital items, I guess, that we discuss that really aren't departmental dependent, right? Once you get into the actual approval process, then I guess it'll be, you know, Public Works to construct and maybe planning and development to recommend where it goes, something along those lines. But certainly from an overall approval perspective, we'll certainly be keeping an eye out for that budget time, because it is a big tag item, and tag items usually get discussed separately, larger capital items.
Councillor Roach?
Yes, in support of what our chair just said earlier, as well. The reason last year we fell short is because one of the reasons was when you apply to FCM, and that's what the plan was supposed to be, you have to have shovel ready and you know, a whole platform and everything to send off to them. And that didn't happen, you see, because we were too late. So hopefully this year we might be able to get our proposals in quicker or in earlier. Thank you.
I think that, to that entire point, I don't necessarily agree that trails fell off the radar, because they didn't, because we did some additional ones. And I know for a fact that the Public Works Committee earlier this year, and I guess in consultation with planning, actually did look at it and listed off a big bunch of potential trail work that we could do that we're investigating and we're getting prices on. So all that stuff is going to come forward at budget time, and we can look through it and we can decide which ones we'd like to do.
Yeah.
Trails are excellent. We've been building them and I love them. Thank you.
Yeah, just want to make sure, when we went through it, I was a little confused as to where it actually responsibility lies, so I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
One other thing that I would mention, and I think it's one of those things in those build it, they will come type of items, that ever since our building opened, I've been getting lots of emails, and I've been forwarding on the staff with groups looking to use our facility. Army Cadets was the first one that contacted me. Sea Cadets, or Air Cadets were another one. So not that we can take them all on, but it is nice to know that they're reaching out to us to come down and probably locate within our town, because I know when my son was in Air Cadets, he used to have to go down to Pleasantville for that. And it'd be nice if the kids in our town could stay in our town for that thing. But I was in it, and the director of Recreation Community Services, we used to go to Gonzaga for Air Cadets, didn't we? And way long time ago, so it's nice. Anyway, with that, I will stop talking and move on. All right, Liaison Committees. Holy moly, we're all left already. Lighting Mayor's Congress.
Before you move on, Mr. Mayor, is there one issue that we forgot? And that was about the letter coming from LMO to partnership for the cell phone tower.
No, I don't think so.
It's there.
We looked after them.
It's in our agenda.
I don't understand what you're talking about, Councillor Rhodes.
Okay. It's came out, was sent in to us on October 25th.
That's a Jack Byrne Arena issue.
No,
that's-
it's the cell towers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Jack Byrne Arena issue, the cell tower in Jack Byrne Arena parking lot.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Is that what it is?
I thought it was other places that you were putting them.
That was back in planning. That was in the planning
All right, thank you.
thing.
I always get something mixed up, so I thought I wouldn't miss it again tonight, right?
That's all right. Well, if we had missed it, you would have told
I
us.
have to keep, guess what I'm going to come up with. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Regional Jack Byrne, there's no report. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Councillor Goss, there's been no meeting, right? There's one coming
The next
up.
one on the 4th of
Okay.
December.
R&C, nothing. I'm going to send an email, I think, to the chief, find out where we're to with that MOU. Volunteer Fire Department, Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Minutes are enclosed, and just to reiterate what I said in my planning report, safety with adequate coverage on wells, if we can stress that to the general public.
That's additionally important. I just thought about it in the winter. If someone's walking across your lawn,
That's
the
right.
fire department on the way, and the well is flat with the ground,
Yeah,
if you,
they could go down.
you fall in. Yeah.
Well, and
It'll be-
also, in case anyone was wondering, the individual that went down there was fine. They
Okay.
got them up to an extension cord.
We didn't just put cover on, leave them down.
No. That ends my report.
All right, UMC, as I stated earlier, we'll be setting up a meeting, I guess, in the new year. See where we're going to be with that. I got to consult with people at M&L. No notice of motion, new business. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the City of St. John's for hosting MNL this year, and it was nice attending. I want to thank all the organisers and everyone that participated, and I want to congratulate yourself, Your Worship, on your new role, and I'm sure that'll be interesting for you, a new experience, and that's all I had. Thank you.
Councillor Rowe.
I'll say the same thing now that Councillor Martin just said. Congratulations on your new position, and you got to keep reaching for the top now, buddy, and go right up there, okay?
I'll take it under advisement.
All right. Now, I need to speak to you about, or bring to council, I had a phone call from Mr. Joe Tilley, who's a volunteer fire department, about the Santa Claus party that they, for the Christmas party they always had for the people who are special needs, children who are special needs. And he asked me to bring it to council and invite all the councillors and yourself, Mr. Mayor, and the Deputy Mayor to come as well. It will be held on Saturdays, the 7th, from 2 to 5 at the community centre, our new community centre. And, just mingle with everybody and, be there if they need us to serve properly maybe or something like that. So he thought it would be a really good idea to get us all involved. And I said I would, so thank you for that.
I've been there every year since I've been on
You are,
council.
but I don't know about everybody
Yeah.
else, if they can make it,
Yep.
It's a Saturday, so anyway. So thank you very much. Are there any questions?
No questions in this one. This is the go-around. Councillor
that's right.
Dorangas, thank you.
I got congratulations to Mayor, I guess, for a new position as Director on the Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador Board. And he's also the Chair of the UMC. I've got two other things in here I need to remind people about. That's the workshop on climate change on Wednesday night, November the 20th at 6:30. And the water quality, the meeting that we're been putting off for a while, that's on November 26th at 6:30. So put that in your calendars for everybody.
Where's that going to be held to?
I'm assuming that it's going to be here.
Held here.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
town?
Yeah, that, the one on climate change is really important to get our groups, and I'm assuming that we will have somebody from the fire department and what have you at that as well, so that we can make the best out of that group of people.
That's from 6:30
Jesse
to
Podester.
9:30, is it? Is that the one that's 6:30 to 9:30?
6:30 to 9:30.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councillor Pollard?
Your Worship, has already been said. I just wanted to congratulate you on your election. I know it was tense there for a little while anyway.
Good, 'cause I'm keeping track right.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Councillor Glenn.
I just want to thank the people of Troy Bay for coming out and supporting the November 11th ceremony that we did again. I think I couldn't actually make it this year. I wasn't feeling very well. I think it was the first one in less than 11 years I've actually missed, so I kind of felt a bit bad about it. But I saw the pictures, and I know it was really well attended, and I heard it was really well done and everything this year. So I just want to, again, say thanks. I think it's a great community thing. Lots of people come out, and so keep on doing it. Thank you, people of Troy Bay.
Excellent, thank you. And I just got just a thanks to the council and I guess to the point of my election onto the board of M&L for those people across the province, I guess from Labrador to here, that in those large towns that voted for me to be on the board. I thank them for that, and I'll do my best to do my job on behalf of them and behalf of us. And I also like to thank everybody who participated and came out and took part in our November 11th ceremony. I felt it went really well. We had a huge crowd, and it was really nice. I already did my, I guess, looked at it, ways that we can improve going in the future, because if you're not improving things, you're standing still or going backwards. So anyway, the staff did a great job, and I just want to thank everybody for showing up to that. And with that, I don't think I got anything else that I need to talk about. I think, yes, and also I wanted to just pass along our thanks to the communities from our region that we networked with this weekend at M&L. It was nice to be able to get together with everyone and talk about issues that are facing our towns and find out ideas that they're doing and bring it back to what we're doing so we can improve how we do things and when we do things. So it's great to be able to get together with your colleagues and do that. So with that, I would ask, is there anybody in the gallery that has a question on something we discussed tonight? Paula? Lancaster. Go ahead.
I'd just like to start with a few thank yous for engaging residents on Facebook to comment about pedestrian safety. I haven't chimed in yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that. And thank you for hosting the upcoming climate change workshop with Conservation Coronel. This whole community engagement piece feels really good, and I'm looking forward to participating in that. And thank you to Justin for his committee's interest in public safety when it comes to Roger's proposal putting antennas, or the EMRs, in our town. I have a few questions, and I'll put this in an email. I just made some jot notes. So just wondering, and not to be answered here, will the town be paid for this? What is the benefit to residents? Is Torbay a link? Because I don't fully understand it. Is Torbay a link to the next community? If it stops here, does it not link forward? And that's showing my ignorance. I really don't have enough information. I haven't had time to research it yet. To have industry doing a presentation on safety, I don't think is very helpful. We know that from the tobacco industry, the pesticide industry, and so on. I don't think it's very helpful. So there might be other ways to research. And I was also, I don't understand fully what Municipal NL does, but that might be a topic for them to really cover, since this is, what's happening in our world now, that might be a project that they could work on. I do like the idea, I heard it said to me, that this be a public consultation situation. And I think the test of that would be, where are the polls, where are the neighborhoods? And again, I don't have enough information, but I will write these comments down. Who wants them on their poll or their neighborhood? I think that would be really important for public consultation. And let's see. And that is it. Thank you very much.
To your point about those, I guess it's 5G, right, thing that we're talking about?
It's just It's just cellular.
All right, okay,
No
so,
5G in Canada yet.
all right, so that's something new that's coming through, so staff and committee are still researching that, so we haven't made any kind of proposals or anything about that.
Yes,
Very
understood,
Yeah.
but it came up, so
Yeah, it's
it just
fine.
made me make jot notes.
Oh, no, I'm
and-
just trying to give you an
Sure.
answer.
No, I don't feel alarmed
Yeah.
at all, because I'm sure it will be thoroughly looked at. But delay is always good, and that's why I'm asking, you know, will we be paid? What's the benefit? Is there any urgency? And there probably isn't, so I'm just tossing my thoughts out there, and you just tossed yours back. Good.
No, I'm just trying to provide you with a little more context, because I don't know anything about this yet either.
Okay.
I know when we did have proposals before regarding cell phone towers, it's really outside of the town's control where a cell phone tower goes. They're controlled by Industry Canada. And we did have a issue a few years ago where we had a proposal for a cell phone tower, and we did take information back from people who had concerns. But at that time, what we did, and I remember I was on the planning committee at the time, is we take our information from verified sources, like Health Canada and those type of things. So I'm sure that council and the committee and our staff will put every inch of investigation and verification into that we need to do, because I have the same concerns that you have. So other than that, and I agree with you about this climate change thing that we're doing. We were very fortunate that we were able to hook on to this program from FCM after another municipality kind of dropped out. So it's something that I'm hoping a lot of people are going to go to. And it's 6:30 on
Wednesday.
this Wednesday at our new building, right? So
Here.
in the council chamber, even better. So we can, I don't know if we're going to live stream it or what we're going to do, but anyway, we'll figure it out. So with that, is there anybody else? Madeline?
I share Paula's concerns about the 5G or the boxes that might go on the poles. You could have that within 50 meters of your house, and I don't think it's good news. There's not a lot that is known about the dangers of electromagnetic radiation. It's true that we don't have 5G in Canada yet, but it's coming. They're talking about 2021. Some countries are refusing it. Some cities are refusing it. And I think it's something that we really have to look at, and it probably should be looked at by MNL if it hasn't already. Once those boxes go on the poles or our community center or town hall or whatever, even though it's 4G, it can easily then be upgraded to 5G. So you set a precedent once you let them put the boxes there. You may not even have any say whether you want the 5G or not. And I have done some reading on that, so I'm glad that there's going to be further research. One comment is I just thought it was a little sad, I suppose, to see the increase in the tonnage for garbage. And we worked so hard to reduce the tonnage, and I think it was in the Telegram or in the media that I saw a statement that they had to increase the tonnage because there's less garbage going in, which is what we're trying to do. So I don't know. It just seems sad to me.
Yeah.
I did have a question, though, and I have an update on the situation at Tappers Cove with the rock fall there, because I'm not clear exactly. I think there's been a contact with East Coast Trail, but there's nothing on their website that I can see. There were 3 people who were seen using the stairs in that area. So is it open? Is it ongoing? What's happening there now?
I haven't had an opportunity yet to talk to the Harbour Authority. Only really found out about it kind of yesterday. I've been so immersed in what I've been doing. But I'll follow up with them tomorrow, and then the town will, I guess, we'll put out a notice if we have to on what's going on down there. But yeah, we want to make sure that it's closed right now.
Are there signs there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, a member of the East Coast Trail Association reached out
Okay.
regarding support for the work that's required there. So we have sent, when it was initially closed, we did send out resident communications advising of the closure due to the rock falls, but we'll make sure that stays front and center until the matter is resolved.
Is it looking like a major problem?
I have no idea.
Not sure, actually.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your point, though, about the waste management piece, currently the waste management strategy for the province is under review, and there's an opportunity for people to go on and give feedback. But it's something that we discussed this past weekend at M&L, and we discussed it at our UMC committee meeting, and I'm sure they discussed it at small towns and everywhere. Because right now, we're paying $67.50 a ton at Robin Hood Bay for our garbage. And I can tell you, the people in Central are paying over $150 a ton, and in Cornerbrook and West, they are as well. So there was a resolution actually that came forward at M&L on Saturday that was defeated, that was looking for equality in payment across the province. And I guess when we discussed it, we didn't agree with the way that it was worded, and I guess the way it could have been interpreted would that the East Avalon region, Eastern region, would have to increase our fees to be able to lower the fees for people in other parts of the province. So there's still a lot, that strategy is being looked at right now, and that I would encourage people, if you live in this area, to go on and Google that for the wastewater strategy review, and get on there and have your say on that, because that kind of could get out of our hands, and we don't want that to we don't want that to happen, because that was the point I was making, where we're a victim of our own success. We've been doing so good with recycling and stuff like that, that now the cost is going up, but it's still, we're in a lot better shape than a lot of other places in the
Yeah,
province, I'm
yeah,
sure.
okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. Robbie?
Hi, I just have a question further to what Ms. Chaplin said about this rockfall. Did I understand that a notification went out to residents about this?
Last week.
Once again, it's not going out on all the media sources? I haven't seen anything.
I'll reconfirm by email to you, but
Yeah.
it did go out. Lions copied on correspondence and seen like that.
Facebook. But you've got it, there's a lot of people who aren't on Facebook and they don't use Twitter. It's got to go up by email as well. This is a reoccurring request that,
All right.
and the other thing is just something I mentioned. You mentioned that the upcoming Torbay Guide is being prepared.
Yeah.
And I think last
You like
time
the
I
calendar?
asked, the calendar, which is great. I asked that the council meetings be added to that.
Yep,
so-
we can do that. Right?
Great.
Yeah, no problem. Well, there's not, because if a council meeting gets rescheduled, we just announce it anyway, right?
Yeah, and some of the other things that are in the calendar get switched around as
Yeah,
well. So,
yeah,
yeah, good, thank you.
all right. Maybe it'll remind me when to come. All right, is that it? Perfect. Thank you all for coming and ask your questions. Next public council meeting is scheduled to take place Monday, December 2nd, right here at 6:30. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
please.
moved.
Second.
Seconder, favor.
Aye.